The neat thing about a garden, any garden, but especially the Springs Preserve with its wide variety of plants, is you can come here any time of the year and see different things happening, different things in bloom, and get ideas for your yard. A wide range of ideas. In fact, some of those ideas might be based on size, like this really small tree, or texture, these very fine leaves, or the theme that you want to create with these beautiful leaves, the very tropical feel that this golden lead ball tree can bring to your garden. This is a really fantastic plant for Southern Nevada that almost never gets used, and I don't understand why. It has these beautiful round yellow flowers that you can see are actually forming even as we speak, so there's going to be quite an extensive flower show. But to me, the real beauty of the plant is in these beautiful, finely divided leaves here that bring such a softness to the garden and a really true tropical feel. The other thing I love about it, though, is the way it moves in the wind. It just bobs and sways and brings this really gentle element of yet another sensual characteristic into the garden here, and if you want it, into your garden too. The other neat thing about the gardens is that as you stroll around the gardens and you want to take a little break, they have benches placed here and there, and you just take a little, whoa, and you never know what you might quite find. These are Indian blanket flowers, gaillardias. We have this wonderful contrast of the bench here with flowers popping through it. Now, if it's not your thing, you can prune it down below, but I think in this case, it actually works really well. Now, Indian blanket flower is a really fabulous plant for Las Vegas summers. It seems to absolutely love the heat. In fact, it loves any sort of warm weather from early spring, extending all the way maybe October, November. There's lots of different varieties. Some of them have more oranges and yellows. Some of them have the beautiful red-yellow combination. There's also some dwarf varieties that stay a little bit more compact. But in this case, I like it. So while part of the wonderful value that the Springs Preserve is it gives you a chance to discover some new and perhaps unusual plants, maybe like the golden lead ball tree, sometimes it'll reintroduce you to some of Las Vegas's tried and true favorite plants. Traditional plants like the Pyracantha. Pyracantha's been used in Southern Nevada for decades, and for good reason. It has a wonderful color show, actually a couple of them. First, you get a beautiful, heavy white bloom on new growth early in the spring. It doesn't last that long, maybe a month. But at the same time, while that's going on, you still have all the red berries from last year. And here's this year's berries starting to grow. As a kid, I don't know how many hundreds of these berries I threw at my friends. But the thing about Pyracantha, though, is that its role really is, well, you can use it as a ground cover, you can train it into a small tree, but it really shines when you want to soften a wall. You can prune this into a very two-dimensional form, almost espalier it. Put a wire trellis up or hang a trellis or just do it through pruning and it'll cover and soften a wall beautifully, giving you color almost year-round. Here we have growing a real heat-loving plant. This is Russian sage. In fact, even as I walk along these beauties, I can start picking up the fragrance from the foliage. This is an amazing summer bloomer. This is a heat-loving plant that just thrives through the middle of summer, and the flower show will knock your socks off. This is such a radiant purple with hints of blue in it. Beautiful, delicate flowers that is really set off well by that sage green foliage. The leaves are finely divided and kind of give a softness to the plant as a whole. But this flower show lasts for months. And if you really, really want to enjoy a flower, the best thing to do is to get a little jeweler's loupe and just kind of zoom in on that flower in the sun, and oh, watch it radiate. Right now I can see sparkles all through those petals, almost like they're liquid jewels with splashes of deep purple. It's just a whole nother way to enjoy a garden, your garden, the garden at the Springs Preserve. You know, sometimes you have a tendency to think of the onset of heat as the end of spring and spring's flower show. But yet, summer is just a whole nother blossoming season with the right plants in your garden. And if you really want to get some ideas to bring home to use in your private space, come down here and visit the Springs Preserve and see the amazing beauty that can happen all through the summer.